Commander Amanda Collins stared through the reinforced glass window of Earth Defense Force headquarters, watching the strange crystalline being float in the containment chamber. Even after 3 months, the sight of Zixtar still amazed her. The alien's body sparkled like diamonds under the soft blue lights, its transparent form shifting and flowing like water made of stars. "They're beautiful, aren't they?" Peter Martinez stepped up beside her, his tablet clutched in his hands. As the base's first contact specialist, he spent more time with the Starborn than anyone else. "It's hard to believe they're refugees." Amanda nodded slowly. "Beautiful and desperate." "Did you finish analyzing their latest communication?" Peter swiped through his tablet. "Yes. Zixtar's people have lost 3 more solar systems to the void in the past week. Whatever this thing is, it's picking up speed." The commander turned away from the window, her boots clicking against the polished floor of the Nevada facility. The underground base had been built to defend Earth against alien invaders, not to house them as guests. Life had a funny way of surprising everyone. "Show me," she said, leading Peter to the holographic display in the center of the room. The map of the Andromeda Galaxy flickered to life, with large sections marked in ominous black. The void's progress was clear. It was consuming everything in its path. Zixtar floated through the wall of the containment chamber, its crystalline body humming softly. The Starborn had quickly proven they could pass through solid matter, but they always asked permission first, a courtesy that had helped ease many human fears. "Commander Collins," Zixtar's voice chimed like wind through crystal chimes. "May I join your discussion?" "Of course," Amanda replied. She had learned to read the subtle color changes in Zixtar's form. Right now, the deeper blue swirls indicated worry. "We're looking at the latest data from your galaxy." The crystalline being hovered near the hologram, its facets reflecting the star maps. "My people are dying. Not just dying, being erased. The void doesn't just destroy, it unmakes. Those it takes simply cease to be. No trace remains." Peter stepped closer to the hologram, his face lit by its glow. But why come to Earth? Surely there were closer systems, more advanced civilizations. Zixtar's form rippled with colors, purple for remembrance, green for hope. "We observe your world for many cycles. Your species is young, yes, but you have something we've never seen before. You adapt, you change, you take what exists and reshape it into something new. We believed, we hoped, this might be the key to fighting the void." Amanda raised an eyebrow. "You came to Earth because humans are good at breaking rules and finding shortcuts." "Precisely." Zixtar's body brightened. "My people, we follow patterns. We grow, we learn, but we follow the paths set before us. The void, it breaks all patterns. We cannot comprehend it, so we cannot fight it. But humans," the alien's form shimmered with admiration. "Humans look at patterns and ask why not change them." A young technician rushed into the room, her face flushed with excitement. "Commander, the integration tests, they worked." Amanda turned sharply. "The crystal tech merged with our systems." "Not just merged," the technician said, catching her breath. "It's exceeding all projected capabilities. Dr. Hayes says it's like the crystals are learning from our technology, and our technology is learning from them." Zixtar moved closer, its crystalline body pulsing with bright yellow excitement. "This is what we hoped for. Your machines, they don't just use our crystals, they communicate with them. They improvise." Peter looked between the alien and his commander. "But what does this mean for defending against the void?" Amanda walked to her desk and picked up an old brass compass, a family heirloom. "It means we might have a chance. Zixtar's people have the power, the knowledge, the technology. But they're too perfect, too orderly. The void breaks order." She set the compass down carefully. "We humans, on the other hand, are messy. We make mistakes. We try stupid things that shouldn't work. And sometimes they do anyway. Your imperfections are your strength, Six-star chimed softly. Where we see barriers, you see challenges. Where we accept limits, you push boundaries. This is why we came to Earth. Not for your weapons or your resources, but for your magnificent ability to do what should not be possible. The room fell quiet as the implications sank in. Humanity had spent centuries looking to the stars, wondering if they would measure up to alien civilizations. Now, an advanced species had crossed galaxies not despite human flaws, but because of them. Amanda straightened her uniform. Peter, I want you to gather all the data we have on failed experiments with the crystal tech. Not the successes, the failures, especially the ones that failed in unexpected ways. Peter blinked. The failures. Why? Because that's where we'll find our answers. In all the ways things went wrong, all the accidents and mistakes. That's the human element the Starborn need. She turned to Six-Star. Your people have been trying to fight the void with perfect solutions. Maybe it's time to try some imperfect ones. Six-Star's form rippled with multiple colors. Hope, excitement, and something new. A swirl of orange that Peter had never seen before. Commander Collins, I believe I am experiencing what humans call getting excited. The sensation is chaotic, unpredictable. The alien's voice chimed with joy. It feels wonderful. The next few hours were a flurry of activity. Teams of scientists and engineers began reviewing failed experiments with new eyes. Every mistake, every unexpected reaction between human technology and starborn crystals became a potential breakthrough. The starborn observers watched in fascination as humans brainstormed, argued, and threw out wild ideas that defied conventional physics. As night fell over the Nevada desert, Amanda stood at her favorite window again. The facility hummed with energy, both electrical and crystal-based. In the labs below, humans and starborn worked side by side, learning from each other, growing stronger together. Peter joined her, offering a cup of coffee. You know what's funny? All those science fiction stories about first contact, they always had us learning from aliens' advanced technology. Nobody thought they'd be learning from our mistakes. Amanda took a sip of coffee, smiling. That's because we always assumed advanced meant perfect. Turns out, the universe might need a little human chaos to keep it interesting. In the reflection of the window, she could see Six-Star teaching a group of engineers about crystal resonance patterns, while the engineers excitedly suggested increasingly unorthodox ways to modify them. The Starborn's body flickered with constant color changes now, picking up human unpredictability like a welcome infection. The void was still coming. It was still a threat beyond imagination. But for the first time since the Starborn arrived, Amanda felt real hope. Sometimes the best solutions weren't the perfect ones. They were the ones crazy enough to work. She touched the window, feeling the subtle vibration of crystal tech merging with Earth's power systems. When Starborn met Earth Forge, she murmured, both learned to shine in new ways. Above the facility, the night sky sparkled with stars. Somewhere out there, the void was consuming galaxies, but it had never encountered anything like the combination of starborn wisdom and human improvisation. Maybe that would make all the difference. The battle was coming, and Earth was getting ready to show the universe what happened when you combined crystal perfection with human determination. It wouldn't be pretty, it wouldn't be perfect, but it would be uniquely, wonderfully human. The Antarctic wind howled outside the advanced research facility, but Linda Hayes barely noticed it anymore. Her attention was fixed on the strange sight before her, a piece of Earth-made steel slowly merging with a starborn crystal. The process wasn't supposed to be possible. Metal and living crystal shouldn't mix. Yet here it was, happening right in front of her. John, are you seeing this? She called to her colleague. John Reeves looked up from his monitoring station, his eyes widening at the readings on his screen. The energy output just doubled, he said, adjusting his glasses. The crystal isn't just touching the steel, it's teaching it. Cariel, the starborn chief engineer, floated closer to the experiment chamber. The crystalline being's form sparkled with patches of curious green and excited gold. This is unprecedented. In all our years of development, we never considered using our crystals this way. Linda smiled. 3 weeks of failed attempts had led to this moment. That's because you were trying to be perfect. We just threw things together until something stuck. The metal and crystal continued their strange dance of integration. Where they met, the steel took on a rainbow sheen, while the crystal gained the strength of forged metal. It was beautiful, like watching two different forms of life fall in love. "The quantum readings are off the charts," John announced, his fingers flying over his keyboard. The crystal structure is somehow teaching the metal's atoms to rearrange themselves, but the metal's strength is also reinforcing the crystal's matrix. Carol's form rippled with excitement. "Your earth metals, they are more alive than we realized. Not alive like our crystals, but they remember, they learn. The patterns of their forging remain within them." Linda reached for her tablet, reviewing the latest data. The integration was progressing faster than any of their previous attempts. "It's like the metal and crystal are having a conversation," she mused, each teaching the other new tricks. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the lab. John jumped up from his station, staring at his screens in disbelief. The energy levels, they're still climbing. The crystal metal matrix is generating its own power field. "That's impossible," Linda muttered, but she was already moving toward the containment controls. "Carol, have you ever seen anything like this?" The Starborn engineer's form had shifted to a concerned purple. "Never." This level of integration suggests awareness. As if responding to Carol's words, the merged crystal metal structure began to pulse with a soft, steady rhythm. Like a heartbeat, like it was alive. "Everyone stay calm," Linda said, though her own heart was racing. "John, start recording everything. Carol, can you communicate with it?" The crystalline being moved closer to the chamber, its own body resonating slightly with the new creation. I can sense something. It's not like our crystal consciousness. It's different. Raw. Powerful." John's voice was filled with awe. "It's creating new patterns. Look at the structure. It's not following either Earth or Starborn designs. It's making its own." Linda watched as the hybrid material continued to evolve. This wasn't just a scientific breakthrough. It was the birth of something entirely new, something that carried the strengths of both worlds. "Send word to Commander Collins," she said, not taking her eyes off the chamber. "Tell her Project Fusion just took an unexpected turn." Hours passed as they observed the growing crystal metal entity. It developed structures unlike anything in their database. Patterns that seemed to draw from both species' knowledge, but expressed them in entirely new ways. "It's beautiful," Carl chimed softly. "Among my people, we have a saying. The crystal that breaks pattern finds new light." We never truly understood what that meant until now. Linda nodded, making more notes. "On Earth, we say necessity is the mother of invention. When you need something badly enough, you find a way to make it happen, even if that way seems impossible." John looked up from his latest readings. "Speaking of impossible, you need to see these power calculations. If we can replicate this process on a larger scale, we could create ships that are stronger than anything either of our species has ever built. Ships that could actually stand up to the void." The mention of their enemy sobered the room. The void was still out there, still consuming worlds. But now they had something new, something it had never encountered before. "Linda," Carl's voice chimed with urgency. "The Matrix is trying to communicate." Everyone froze. On the main screen, patterns began appearing. Not quite Earth letters, not quite Starborn symbols, but something in between. The hybrid was developing its own language. "It's asking what it is," Carl translated, their crystalline form flickering with amazement. "It knows it's neither purely crystal nor purely metal. It wants to understand itself." Linda stepped closer to the chamber, her heart pounding with equal parts excitement and fear. Tell it it's something new." Something better than either alone. Tell it it's exactly what we needed. As Carl communicated with the hybrid, more alarms began to sound. Not warnings this time, but alerts from other labs in the facility. John rushed to check the incoming data. "Linda, you're not going to believe this," he called out. "All our other integration projects, they're changing too. It's like this one is teaching the others how to evolve." The implications hit Linda like a wave. They hadn't just created a new material. They'd sparked a whole new form of technological evolution, one that could spread, grow, and adapt. "We need to set up more controlled environments," she said, already planning ahead. "Safe spaces for these hybrids to develop. And we need to understand how to guide their growth without limiting their potential." Carl's form had taken on a deep blue of contemplation. "Among my people, such unpredictable growth would be seen as dangerous. But now I understand. Sometimes the most precious discoveries come from embracing the unknown." Linda watched as the first hybrid continued to develop, its crystal metal surface now showing complex, ever-changing patterns. "When we started this project, we were trying to combine our technologies. Instead, we might have just given birth to a whole new kind of technology, one that has the best of both worlds. And maybe," John added, looking at his latest readings, "one that's strong enough to face what's coming." Outside, the Antarctic storm continued to rage, but inside the lab, something wonderful was growing. The merger of star-born crystal and earth-forged steel had created more than just a new material. It had shown them a path forward, a way to face the void not with perfect plans or brute force, but with adaptive, evolving technology that could learn and grow stronger. Linda smiled as she watched the hybrid's patterns shift and change. Sometimes the best solutions weren't the ones you planned for. They were the ones that surprised you. And this surprise might just help save both their worlds. "Send a full report to the Nevada facility," she told John. "Tell them Project Fusion is ready for Phase 2. And tell them," she paused, watching the beautiful dance of crystal and steel, "tell them we're going to need a bigger lab." Christopher Baker hadn't slept in 24 hours, but he couldn't leave his post at Deep Space Station Horizon. The screens in front of him showed something that made his coffee-fueled exhaustion meaningless. The void had entered their solar system. "Maria, double-check these readings," he called out to his chief astrophysicist. Maria Sanchez was already floating toward his station, pushing off the walls of the space station with practiced ease. "I see it," she said, her face lit by the glow of multiple monitors. "It's exactly like Vexenor warned us about. The stars are just disappearing." As if summoned by his name, the star-born navigator glided through the doorway, his crystalline form reflecting the emergency lights that had begun flashing throughout the station. "Show me," Vexenor chimed, his usually bright form dimmed with concern. Christopher pointed to the long-range sensors. At the edge of their solar system, a patch of absolute darkness was slowly growing. It wasn't like a black hole, which at least bent light around it. This darkness simply erased everything it touched, leaving nothing behind. "It's moving differently here," Vexenor observed, floating closer to the screens. "In our galaxy, it moved like a wave. Here, it's more hesitant." Maria pulled up more data on her tablet. "Look at these readings. When it encounters the crystal-enhanced satellites we placed at the system's edge, it actually backs away slightly. But when it touches our regular probes, it consumes them instantly." Christopher straightened in his chair. "It's like it doesn't know what to make of our hybrid technology. The crystal-steel fusion is confusing it." "That's not all," Maria added, swiping through more data. "The hybrid beacons we launched last week. They're not just avoiding the void. They're pushing it back in some places." Vexenor's form pulsed with excited colors. "This is unprecedented. In all our encounters with the void, we've never seen it retreat, not even slightly." Christopher was already sending emergency signals to Earth. "We need to get this data to Linda Hayes and her team. If the hybrid tech can affect the void this way, maybe we can." He never finished his sentence. A sudden alarm blared through the station, and all eyes turned to the main viewing screen. A tendril of pure darkness had broken away from the main mass of the void, moving much faster than they'd seen before. "It's heading straight for us," Maria shouted, already running calculations. "Time to impact. 3 minutes. Everyone to the emergency pods," Christopher ordered, but Vexnor moved to block his path. "No, the hybrid core. We must protect it." The Starborn's voice chimed with urgency. "This station contains the largest working model of the crystal steel reactor. If the void takes it," Christopher understood immediately. The hybrid technology was their best hope against the void. They couldn't let it be destroyed. "Maria, begin core ejection sequence," he commanded. "Vexnor, can you help guide it toward Earth?" The Starborn navigator's form brightened. "Better. I can merge with it, help protect it during descent. My crystal structure should strengthen the hybrid materials." They worked frantically as the tendril of void energy approached. Maria's fingers flew over the controls, preparing the core for emergency ejection. Christopher coordinated with Earth, clearing a path for the core's descent. And Vexnor. Vexnor did something none of them expected. The Starborn being pressed himself against the hybrid core's housing, and his crystalline form began to flow into it, not just merging, but becoming one with the human Starborn technology. The core began to pulse with new energy, its patterns matching Vexnor's own consciousness. 30 seconds to impact," Maria called out. "Core ejection ready," Christopher responded. "Vexnor, are you?" "I am the core now." Vexnor's voice chimed from within the hybrid material. "I understand. I understand so much now. Your human chaos, our crystal order. Together, they make something the void cannot predict." Christopher hit the ejection controls. The core, now merged with Vexnor, shot away from the station just as the tendril of void energy reached them. "Emergency pods, now." Christopher grabbed Maria's arm, pulling her toward the escape vessels. They strapped themselves in and launched away from the station seconds before the void touched it. From the pod's window, they watched in horror as their station disappeared into nothingness. But something else caught their attention. The void tendril was changing direction, following the hybrid core. "It's chasing Vexnor," Maria whispered. "It's never shown that kind of purpose before. It's always just consumed everything in its path." Christopher activated the pod's communications. "Earth Defense Command, be advised. The void is showing signs of intentional behavior. I repeat, the void is not just a force of nature. It's hunting specific targets." As their pod fell toward Earth's atmosphere, they watched an amazing sight. The hybrid core, powered by Vexnor's consciousness, wasn't just falling, it was dancing. It moved in patterns that seemed to confuse the void tendril, making it twist and turn in ways that almost looked frustrated. "Look at the energy readings," Maria said, checking their pod sensors. "Every time the void gets close to Vexnor, it weakens somehow, like the hybrid technology is draining it." Christopher sent another message to Earth. "All stations, we have confirmation. The crystal steel hybrid technology affects the void. The merger of human and starborn science hurts it. We've found its weakness." The pod's communications crackled with Commander Collins's voice. "Understood, Horizon. Recovery teams are tracking the core's descent. Get yourselves landed safely. We're going to need everything you learned up there." As they descended through the atmosphere, Christopher and Maria watched the continuing dance between Vexnor and the void tendril. The Starborn navigator was leading the dark energy away from Earth, wearing it down with each encounter. "Do you think he knew?" Maria asked softly. "When he merged with the core, did Vexnor know this would happen?" Christopher shook his head. "I don't think anyone could have predicted this. That's what makes it work. The void can't predict it either." The hybrid core finally broke away from the void tendril, streaking across the sky like a newborn star. The tendril, noticeably smaller now, retreated toward the main mass at the system's edge. "Send word to Linda Hayes," Christopher told Maria as their pod approached its landing zone. "Tell her we're going to need a lot more hybrid cores. And tell her we're going to need volunteers to merge with them." The war against the void had entered a new phase. It wasn't just about technology anymore. It was about the literal merger of human and starborn, creating something entirely new, something that could fight back against the darkness. As their pod touched down, Christopher looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, Vexnor was still leading their first real counterattack against the void. The starborn navigator had become something new, something that combined the best of both worlds. The battle for Earth was just beginning, but for the first time, they had hope. The void had finally shown a weakness, and that weakness was the very thing that made Earth special: its ability to create something new from the combination of different worlds. Ryan Cooper sat in the cockpit of the Earthlight, trying to calm his racing heart. The experimental ship hummed around him, its hybrid crystal steel hull pulsing with soft light. Through the viewport, he could see the red surface of Mars below. This was humanity's first line of defense against the void, and he was about to test if it would hold. "All systems check complete." Anna Mitchell's voice came through his headset. As the ship's crystal integration specialist, she monitored the delicate balance between human technology and starborn crystals. "The hybrid core is stable. Tyrix is ready when you are." Ryan touched the crystal panel in front of him, feeling the warm response from the ship's consciousness. Tyrix, the starborn battle strategist who had merged with the Earthlight systems, was now as much a part of the vessel as its engines and hull. "I feel your anxiety, Pilot Cooper." Tyrix's voice chimed through the ship's speakers. "But remember, this vessel is neither human nor starborn. It is something new, something the void has never faced." "That's what worries me," Ryan muttered, but he began the launch sequence anyway. The Earthlight rose from the Martian surface, its engines barely making the sound. Unlike traditional spacecraft, this ship moved like it was alive, because in many ways it was. Anna's voice crackled over the comm again. "Void scouts detected at the edge of the defense perimeter. 3 contact points, moving fast." "I see them," Ryan said, watching the dark spots appear on his tactical display. They looked like holes in space itself, areas where nothing existed anymore. "Tyrix, ready for combat maneuvers." The ship's crystals pulsed with agreeing light. "Ready, Pilot Cooper. Remember our training. Do not think of me as separate from the ship. We are one entity now. Feel the ship's movements as your own." Ryan took a deep breath and placed his hands on the crystal-infused controls. The moment he made contact, his awareness expanded. He could feel the Earthlight as if it were his own body. Its wings became his arms, its engines his legs, its sensors his eyes. The first Void Scout attacked without warning, shooting toward them like a spear of darkness. But Ryan didn't just see it coming. He felt it. The hybrid ship moved before he consciously gave the command, twisting away from the attack with impossible grace. "Amazing," Anna breathed through the comm. "The reaction time is faster than anything we've ever recorded. The neural link is holding steady." Ryan barely heard her. He was too focused on the dance of combat, moving the Earthlight through space in ways that defied traditional physics. The crystal steel hull shifted and adapted to each maneuver, while Tyrix's consciousness guided their tactics. The second Void Scout joined the attack, trying to trap them between 2 streams of nothingness. But the Earthlight had other ideas. Its hybrid structure began to glow brighter, and suddenly they weren't just avoiding the void. They were pushing it back. "Energy readings are off the scale," Anna shouted. "The crystal matrix is actually absorbing and converting the void's energy." Tyrix's voice hummed with excitement. "Yes, like your Earth plants converting darkness to light through photosynthesis, we are transforming the void's power into something new." Ryan felt it happening through his connection with the ship. Each time the void touched them, instead of being erased, they grew stronger. The crystal steel hull learned from each encounter, adapting its structure to better resist the next attack. The third scout rushed them head-on, probably hoping to overwhelm their defenses. Ryan didn't dodge this time. Following an instinct he couldn't explain, he flew straight into the attack. "Ryan, what are you doing?" Anna's voice was filled with panic, but Tyrix chimed in agreement. "Trust your instincts, Pilot Cooper. The ship knows what to do." The moment they collided with the Void Scout, everything changed. Instead of being consumed, the Earthlight's hull began to shine with incredible brightness. The Void entities seemed to shriek, the first sound anyone had ever heard from these beings, and tried to pull away. "Don't let it escape," Tyrix called out. "We can do more than just resist it. We can heal the space it has damaged." Ryan understood. Through his connection with the ship, he could feel the Void Scout's structure. It wasn't just darkness. It was wounded space, reality that had been hurt somehow, and their hybrid technology could repair it. The Earthlight's glow intensified until Ryan had to close his eyes. He flew on instruments and feeling alone, maintaining contact with the Void Scout as their ship's energy worked on it. Slowly, the darkness began to fade. "It's working." Anna's voice was filled with wonder. "The Scout, it's not just being destroyed. It's being restored to normal space." When Ryan opened his eyes again, the Void Scout was gone, but not in the way these entities usually vanished. Where there had been a hole in reality, now there was just normal, healthy space. Stars shone where moments ago there had been only darkness. The other two scouts retreated quickly, seeming to communicate with each other in some way they couldn't detect. The Earthlight hung in space, its hull still glowing softly, while its crew tried to process what had just happened. "All stations, this is Crystal Integration Specialist Mitchell." Anna was already broadcasting to the defense fleet. "We have confirmation. The hybrid ships can not only resist the void, they can reverse its effects. I repeat, we can repair the damage it causes." Ryan sat back in his pilot's seat, letting his connection with the ship soften to a gentle background hum. "Tyrix, are you okay?" The Starborn's consciousness rippled through the ship's systems. "I am. Change, Pilot Cooper. This encounter has taught me things about the void that my people never suspected. It is not a force of pure destruction as we thought. It is more like a disease, one that we can cure." "Send all combat data to Earth Defense Command," Ryan ordered, already turning the ship back toward Mars. "They need to know everything we just learned. And tell Linda Hayes she was right. The hybrid technology is more powerful than anyone guessed." As they flew back to base, Ryan watched Mars grow larger in his viewport. The red planet's defense perimeter was humanity's first line against the void. But now it was more than that. It was proof that they could do more than just fight back. They could heal the very wounds in space that the void created. "You know what this means," Anna said softly over the comm. "We're going to need more hybrid ships, more pilots willing to link with them, more Starborn willing to merge with our technology." "We'll find them," Ryan replied, feeling the confidence of the Earthlight flowing through him. "Now that we know it's possible, nothing will stop us from taking the fight to the void itself." The ship's crystals pulsed in agreement as they descended toward the Martian base. They had just changed the nature of this war. The void wasn't invincible anymore. And somewhere out in the darkness between the stars, the main body of the void entity must have felt its scouts retreat. For the first time since it began its consumption of galaxies, the void knew fear. Humanity and the Starborn had created something new, something that could stand against it, something that could heal what it tried to destroy. The battle for Earth was far from over, but now they had more than just hope. They had proof that the combination of human spirit and Starborn wisdom could achieve the impossible. They could save not just their own worlds, but all of space itself. Daniel Wright stared at his quantum communications display, watching the patterns of light dance across the screen. Something was different about the crystal signals today. Ever since they'd discovered how human emotions affected the hybrid technology, his job as quantum communications officer had become more art than science. "The resonance patterns are changing again," Susan Parker called from her station. As the base's crystal resonance expert, she had learned to read the subtle shifts in the hybrid technology's behavior. It's like they're responding to something we can't see yet. Mireth, the star-born elder who had become their mentor in crystal communications, floated near the ceiling of Earth's last defense line bunker. The ancient being's crystalline form shimmered with worried colors. "The void approaches," Mireth chimed softly. "But this time, it comes with purpose. It has learned from its defeats." The main screen lit up with emergency alerts. The void wasn't just sending scouts anymore. It was launching a full assault on Earth's defense line. Dark tendrils of nothingness stretched across space, probing for weaknesses. "All hybrid ships, launch now," Daniel broadcasted, his hand steady on the crystal-infused controls. "Form up according to planned defense patterns." Susan moved to his station, her face lit by the glow of crystal displays. "Something's wrong. The hybrid cores, they're not resonating properly. It's like they're afraid." Mireth drifted lower, their form pulsing with recognition. "The technology senses the void's new purpose. It has found a way to attack the crystal steel bond itself." Daniel watched in horror as the first wave of hybrid ships engaged the void. Where before their crystal steel hulls had glowed with power, now they flickered uncertainly. The void had adapted, finding ways to disrupt the connection between human technology and starborn crystals. "We need to strengthen the bond somehow," Susan said, her fingers flying over her console. "The hybrid technology responds to human emotions. What if we could amplify that?" Mireth's form brightened. "Yes. Among my people, we thought emotions were a weakness, but here they have proven to be your greatest strength. When humans feel strongly, the crystals sing with new power." Daniel looked at his readings again, an idea forming. "The quantum communication network. We could use it to broadcast emotional resonance to all the hybrid ships at once, like an amplifier for human feelings." "But which emotions?" Susan asked. "Fear clearly doesn't work. The void feeds on it." "Hope," Daniel said firmly. "Every victory we've had against the void came when we refused to give up hope, when we believed we could do the impossible." Mireth chimed in agreement. "Yes, and not just hope, determination. The unique human ability to look into the darkness and say no further." They worked quickly, reconfiguring the quantum network. Susan calibrated the crystal resonance chambers, while Daniel reprogrammed the communication arrays. Mireth moved between them, their ancient knowledge helping bridge the gap between human intuition and crystal technology. "All ships, this is Earth Defense Control," Daniel broadcasted. "We're about to try something new. Open your hybrid cores to full resonance. Don't fight the emotions. Let them flow through the crystals." Susan activated the modified network. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the hybrid ships began to glow brighter. The crystal steel bonds strengthened, powered by the combined hope and determination of their crews. "It's working," Susan exclaimed. "The resonance patterns are stabilizing. The ships are fighting back." Through the main viewport, they watched as the tide of battle began to turn. The hybrid ships weren't just resisting the void now. They were pushing it back. Each vessel glowed with the combined power of human emotion and starborn crystal technology. But the void had one more surprise. A massive tendril of darkness, larger than any they'd seen before, shot straight toward Earth's atmosphere. "It's trying to bypass the defense line," Daniel shouted, sending emergency signals to the fleet. "If it reaches the planet's surface." "No," Mireth's voice rang with unusual force. The elder starborn moved to the center of the command room, their crystalline form beginning to pulse with intense light. "I understand now what we must do." Before anyone could stop them, Mireth merged with the central crystal array of the command center. The ancient being's consciousness flowed into the quantum network, becoming one with the communication system itself. "Mireth, what are you doing?" Susan called out, but she already knew. The elder was becoming a living amplifier for the entire defense network. "My people always sought perfection," Myrath's voice echoed through every crystal in the room. "But your human imperfections, your hopes, your fears, your stubborn refusal to accept defeat, they are what the universe needs now." Daniel watched in awe as Myrath's consciousness spread through the quantum network, touching every hybrid ship and installation. The Elder's ancient knowledge combined with human emotion created something entirely new, a wave of pure determination that spread across Earth's defense line. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Every hybrid ship began to shine with unprecedented brightness. The crystal steel bonds grew stronger than ever, each vessel becoming a beacon of defiance against the darkness. The massive void tendril recoiled as it met this wall of light and hope. Where before it had consumed everything in its path, now it found itself being pushed back, unmade, transformed. The resonance patterns, Susan gasped, checking her readings. They're not just fighting the void, they're changing it. Like what happened with the Scout, but on a massive scale. Daniel could feel it through his quantum communications array. The combined power of human emotion and starborn wisdom was doing more than just defending Earth. It was healing the very fabric of space that the void had wounded. "All ships," he broadcasted, his voice firm with conviction. "Push forward. Whatever you're feeling right now, hope, determination, the need to protect your home, let it flow through the hybrid cores. The crystals will amplify it." The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. Hybrid ships, glowing with the combined power of two civilizations, drove back the darkness. Where the void had torn holes in reality, they restored the cosmic fabric. Where it had brought emptiness, they renewed the stars themselves. And at the heart of it all was Myrath, the star-born elder who had finally understood that perfection wasn't the answer. The Elder's consciousness, spread through the quantum network, helped every ship and crew find the perfect balance between crystal wisdom and human spirit. As the last void tendrils retreated from Earth's defense line, Susan checked her final readings. The hybrid technology, it's permanently changed. The crystal steel bonds are stronger than ever, and they're still growing stronger. Daniel nodded, understanding what had happened. Because now they're not just merging two technologies, they're merging two ways of being. The Starborn's ancient wisdom and our human determination to never give up. Through the quantum network, Myrath's consciousness touched them one last time. This is why we came to Earth, not just for sanctuary, but because deep down, we knew that the universe needed something new. Something that could only come from the merger of stars and steel, of crystal song and human heart. The battle was won, but all of them knew this was just the beginning. The main body of the void was still out there, adapting, learning. But now they had proof. When starborn wisdom joined with human determination, nothing was impossible. They had found the key to saving not just Earth, but all of reality itself, not through perfect plans or overwhelming force, but through the simple, powerful truth that hope, backed by determination, could light up even the darkest void. Admiral Kevin Morris stood on the bridge of the flagship Guardian, watching as the largest fleet in human history assembled around Earth. Every ship in the vast armada was a hybrid vessel, their crystal steel hulls gleaming with internal light. Each one carried both human crew and starborn consciousness, ready for the final battle. Crystal harmony readings at maximum, Laura Bennett reported from her station. As director of Crystal Harmony, she monitored the emotional resonance that now powered their fleet. The bond between ships and crews has never been stronger. Zixstar, who had become the Earth Crystal Integration Commander, floated near the main viewport. The first starborn to contact Earth had changed over the months, their crystalline form now permanently merged with strips of shining steel. "The void approaches," Zixstar announced, their voice chiming with both worry and determination. "But this time, we face it together as something entirely new." The main screen lit up with sensor data. The void wasn't sending scouts or tendrils anymore. It was coming in force, a vast wall of darkness that consumed everything in its path. "All ships, battle positions," Kevin ordered, his voice calm despite the enormity of what they faced. "Remember your training. Let the crystals feel your determination. Show them why the Starborn came to Earth." The hybrid fleet moved with perfect coordination, their formations flowing like water as they took up defensive positions around the planet. Years of practice had taught them how to merge human tactical thinking with Starborn grace. "Admiral," Laura called out, "we're getting unusual readings from the void. It's changing shape, like it's trying to copy our formation." Zixtar moved closer to her station, their form pulsing with recognition. "Of course, it has been learning from every encounter. Now it thinks it understands us." Kevin watched as the wall of darkness split into smaller units, mimicking the structure of their fleet. "It's adapting our tactics, but it doesn't understand why they work. It sees the pattern but misses the heart." The first wave of void entities struck their lines like a tide of shadow. But this time, Earth was ready. The hybrid ships glowed brighter, their crystal steel hulls singing with the combined power of human emotion and starborn wisdom. "Push them back," Kevin commanded. "Show them what happens when Starborn meets Earth forged." The battle that followed was unlike anything in human or Starborn history. Where the void brought darkness, their ships brought light. Where it tried to unmake reality, they restored it. The crystal steel vessels moved with impossible grace, each one powered by the unshakable determination of their crews. "Look," Laura pointed to her readings. "The void. It's not just retreating, it's changing." On the main screen, they could see it happening. Where their hybrid ships touched the darkness, it didn't just fade, it transformed. The nothingness became something else, something that glowed with a faint, familiar light. "It's becoming like us," Zixtar chimed in wonder. The void, it was never truly empty. It was wounded space, reality that had forgotten how to exist. And now we're reminding it. Kevin understood. Every battle, every encounter had led to this moment. They weren't just fighting the void, they were healing it. "All ships," he broadcast to the fleet, "concentrate your efforts. Don't just push the darkness back. Show it what it can become." The hybrid vessels moved as one, their crystal steel hulls blazing with light. Human determination flowed through starborn crystals, creating a power that could reshape reality itself. Where their light touched the darkness, space remembered how to shine. But the void fought back. A massive tendril of darkness shot straight for Earth, bigger than any they'd seen before. "Direct hit incoming," Laura shouted. "It's too big to stop." "No," Kevin's voice was firm. "Nothing is too big to stop. Not when we stand together." Zixtar moved to the center of the bridge, their form beginning to pulse with intense light. "Admiral Morris is right. And now I understand what my people saw in humanity. You never accept that anything is impossible." The Starborn commander merged with the ship's systems, their consciousness flowing through the crystal network to touch every vessel in the fleet. Through this connection, every human crew felt what the Starborn had learned from them. The power of hoping against hope, of fighting even when victory seemed impossible. "All ships," Kevin commanded, feeling Zixtar's presence strengthening his words. "Full power to your crystal cores. Show the void what happens when two civilizations become one." The entire fleet began to glow with unprecedented brightness. The crystal steel hulls resonated with the combined power of human spirit and starborn wisdom. Where their light touched the void, it didn't just retreat, it transformed. The massive tendril of darkness met a wall of pure light. For a moment, it seemed like neither force could overcome the other. Then, slowly, the light began to win. "The void," Laura gasped, checking her readings. "It's not just being destroyed. It's waking up." Through the main viewport, they watched in awe as the darkness began to change. Where there had been nothingness, points of light began to appear. Like stars being reborn, like space itself remembering what it was meant to be. "This was never about fighting." Zixtar's voice echoed through every crystal in the fleet. "It was about reminding the universe how to live. My people sought perfection in pure crystal. Humans found strength in forged metal. Together, we found something greater than either. The transformation spread like a wave through the void entity. Where there had been a wall of darkness, now there was a cascade of newborn stars. Space that had been wounded was healing, remembering its true nature. As the last of the darkness transformed, Kevin looked at his crew, human and starborn, working side by side. Send word to Earth. Tell them the war is over. But something even more amazing is beginning. Laura's console lit up with readings. A hybrid technology. It's still evolving. The crystal steel bond is growing stronger, spreading to everything it touches. It's like the universe itself is learning from what we created. Of course it is, Zixtar chimed softly. Because what we created here isn't just a new technology or a new way of fighting. It's a new way of existing. One that shows that differences don't have to divide us. They can make us stronger. The fleet began its return to Earth, but everyone knew that this wasn't an ending. The merger of human spirit and starborn wisdom had changed more than just their two species. It had shown the universe itself a new way forward. Kevin looked out at the stars, both the ancient ones and those newly reborn from the transformed void. When Starborn met Earth forged, he said quietly, "We didn't just save our worlds. We reminded the universe how to dream." The hybrid ships flew home through space that glowed with new light, carrying the promise of what could happen when two different peoples became something greater than either could have been alone. They had faced the darkness and transformed it, not through force, but through the simple, powerful truth that hope, wisdom, and determination could light up even the darkest void. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, newborn stars twinkled with crystal light, telling the story of when Starborn met Earth forged, and both became something wonderfully new.